Well, here we are, the Stitch sisters today.
Yeah, who needs brothers?
Yeah. Jake is putting together a long arm down in our area. So we talked about that last week, having 3 running long arms here, 2 off site. So we're trying to pick up the pace, get everybody taken care of.
I heard it's working really well.
So far.
Yeah, I
Yes.
see empty racks almost.
Yes, yes. So Jake is occupied there. Luke is at the Turkey Trot Roadshow for Martelli.
Yeah, I said, go, you help Brian. I'll go hang out with Barb today.
And later on, we'll all hang out with the Martelli group. So I'm looking forward to that, to seeing what they brought. I understand there's something new.
I don't know if they have it with them.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go look.
Yeah.
As
it might
should
be,
you.
Only like one that came in for that show.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know where it is at the moment. I would think they'd carry that like on their back or something. Yeah, I didn't realize, but this is Brian and this is Joe Allen.
Yeah. Yes.
He's like, I'm on there. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess you are.
Yeah. Made me laugh. But yep, they are
cute
here today.
Yeah.
They are going to be gone tomorrow.
So this is where maybe they're going to be near you too. So maybe you want to see where they're all going to be till the end of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, Kaylee's. Oh, she's got it.
She's right there.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you have for them today?
Today, let's see. This is today. Next week we have a BOA class.
You got to move this up a little bit. There we go.
So we can get that hanging straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a
coaches on wheels.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just, making adjustments on the fly. Right. Kelly, do we have the BO8 flyer?
We should.
Maybe. Perhaps we can show that. But of course. BO8 flyer. There it is. Okay. November the 18th, which is next week, 10 to 4, we're going to do Fast and Furious 9-patch. And it's from your 9-patch gathering book. Yep. Yeah.
Which is out of print right now.
Yeah.
Everybody wants it now, all of a sudden.
Oh, imagine that.
We will revamp it and we will re-release it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. But the methodology is in there and we will be using that. So if you're going to be joining me, you need a starched charm pack so we can work with that. As I've said before, I haven't been a starch person, but seems to me that works a little bit better.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
We don't do something just because we want to give you something else to do. There is a reason.
There's a reason. Yeah.
Things just are a little bit better. Like it's like, every day it's like the sun is shining that day.
Yes.
So everything just seems to work out better.
Yes.
With starch.
Yes.
That's how I can describe it.
Yes.
It's like sewing on a cloudy day or sewing on a sunny day.
And it's like the straight stitch machine. Like I never thought I wanted one of them, but now I took that BO8 to my retreat a couple weeks ago. Very nice. I worked on
I love it when I do my videos on it.
Yeah, I worked on
and everybody thinks it's really loud, but it's not. Because my microphone is right next
there.
to it.
Yeah.
My microphone picks up, every time they're like, oh, that machine is so loud. No, it's not. It's just the microphone amplifying it.
Yeah.
It's really quiet.
Yeah.
Actually.
And when you're in a group situation with other quilters.
Yeah, no big deal. The thread counter is, is a
ka-chunk,
little,
but it's cut.
Yeah, it's cut. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah. So,
and then when somebody steals your knee lift,
we are knee liftless right now, which is not fun.
Yeah.
Because I've come to
I
use
think
mine.
somebody's was tooled wrong or something like that, so they sent it to somebody else. So that's the reason I was given why mine disappeared off my machine.
Yes, and mine went.
When
to
are the
a
new ones
customer.
coming in? The second shipment.
End of the month.
End of the month.
End of the month. So,
and I think we did enough, so I might get one at
try to
home.
sneak one.
Yeah, sneak. I hope they ordered extra knee lifts or something.
I don't know. I think I don't know if they have extra parts yet,
Okay.
but we will check on that because we both need the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you just get used to not touching
Yeah,
your
having it-
your needle up bar, and you
having
just
that
use your
ability
knee.
to move things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right.
So we're gonna what? How does this go? You're gonna show quilts first. You're gonna talk about your what do you got
Needles and
going on here
threads
today?
today.
Needles and threads.
Actually, I want to talk about one other thing because my great niece is the captain of the equestrian team at Platteville. And she asked me to do, logo stuff for their shirts. And so she gave me, Kaylee can see this. All right, she gave me a PNG file.
PNG, yep.
And I took this and actually brought it into the Bernina software, auto digitized. I bumped up the stitch count a little bit.
What do you mean by auto digitized?
Well, the software takes this and actually makes it into an EXP file that I can.
So like any of my appliques I could give to you and you can make that into an embroidery file? Wow.
Yeah.
I guess
Except
that's
nobody
the thing.
has time to do it. Oh, God. We need about 3 extra men and a monkey.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. But it is possible.
Because that's how you did that.
That's how I did that. Yes.
And your machine did it all for you.
Yes. Yeah. The software.
Is this the 990?
Actually, I did the software work on the computer,
Okay.
and then I downloaded it to the 990, bumped up the stitch count on the 990, and voila.
So, okay, I don't know about this, all
Yeah,
right? So I'm new.
We're gonna have
So,
questions.
like, your computer has a stitch program on it, or is it part of your machine's software too? That
they talk to each other.
Okay.
Yes.
So you don't need a whole separate program for your machine to run to do the stitching thing. Okay. I don't know how that works, but okay.
Yeah, it's magic.
All right, I believe you.
It's software, a package of software, and a machine that can accept that software.
Okay.
So yeah. So it was like easy. I thought it was going to be difficult because I'm not real familiar with digitizing stuff, but yeah, worked.
Well, it turned out good.
Yeah.
I mean, this looks like it was done professionally.
Almost.
I mean, you use
Yeah.
black thread in the
Yeah,
bobbin,
I
but
should,
that'd be
yeah.
the only thing. I'm like, Barb.
I should use a different.
But you were just
I
testing
was
it.
just testing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
So,
nice.
Yeah, filled in nice.
So do you have to go and clip apart all those little jumps?
No.
What?
No.
Why
no
not?
jump, because
They almost think we rehearsed this because
No, because
like,
you see, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
No jump stitches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
These new machines are just, kind of really cool. Kind of really cool. So that was a fun thing that I wanted to show off and tell you that some things are easier than I thought they'd be.
Well, and that's the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be harder. When you have the capability of what we can do nowadays, it shouldn't be harder. It should be a press a button and do it.
Yeah. Well, somebody asked,
especially when you pay that much money for that machine.
Well, somebody asked,
so it's justified.
If we had voice recognition
Oh.
on that machine, and I said, well, unfortunately not. Yeah,
No,
you
not
can't
yet.
just tell it to do a certain stitch or anything, but it's pretty easy.
Cool.
Pretty easy. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, Kaylee, are you watching for comments, questions?
Yep.
Okay. All right. We have the Martelli people are here today, so we're going to be kind of short and
sweet. So you got
sweet.
2 sisters instead of 2 brothers.
Yeah. So we're going to be kind of short and sweet. We wanted to talk about thread and needles, show a couple of quilts, and unless you have something more to say. Okay. All right.
You're going to leave me? I get to leave you?
If you want to.
Okay. I do have some stitching that I have to get done.
Oh my God.
Imagine that. Yes. And I can't just do something simple. I got to do something with, I'll give you a little peek.
Ooh.
And this is for primitive Christmas, okay? Just for checking in, watching something else. All right. So this guy right here, can you see this, Kaylee? Look at what I'm doing on all these pennies. So I got to do that on 12 pennies, every other
looks-
one.
It looks like a snowflake.
Yes, isn't it fun?
Oh, it's so pretty.
So this is going to be one of our patterns that I don't know if it's a free one, but I think it's going to be part of a package deal. So
Ooh.
free with a package deal. I better get stitching. I just wanted Barb not to be so lonely here without Luke. Yeah, right.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
All right. I'm going to show
See you
a
on
quilt.
Thursday, everyone.
Yeah. Heidi, can you help me with a quilt?
I can. I do have a couple of questions for you.
Oh, okay. All right.
They're
Questions?
Kind of random.
All right. Whatever.
What type of thread do you use in the bobbin for embroidery?
I use usually like an Orfil, but there is bobbin thread and there is the bottom line thread from Superior. So there's some thinner threads that a lot of people like to use in the bobbin when they are doing embroidery. It has to do with coverage. Like we were talking about this one, I used black. I was using black in the bobbin, and it's kind of, if you can get that. Whoop. You can see that's kind of ugly. And then if you flip it over, you can see where it may have come through a little bit. But that was 50 weight in the bobbin. So if you can get the bobbin thread, which usually comes in black and white, it's a good idea to use that because then you don't have to change your bobbin often. But if you're doing some pretty specific colors, like they want their college colors, then you might want to match that bobbin. And the easiest way to do that is probably with the Orfil rather than black or white. Long answer.
Yeah.
Next.
Next question. Have you ever scanned a logo in and designed it in the design software? Wondering how that would work. I need to do that with my logo.
Okay, this logo that I just worked on, I had no cleanup to do. I know that Luke did one recently that we did have a little cleanup to do on, and that we did in the Bernina software. So it was just a matter of manipulating a little bit of like erase and fill in the software. It's all graphics stuff. The Bernina software is based on Corel Draw. So if you're familiar with Corel Draw or Adobe Illustrator, this is like a piece of cake for you. But if you're not, it's a pretty intense program. But it's relatively, like when you scan something in and you digitize it, it usually comes out pretty good. Like I said, I just bumped up the stitch count. I didn't have cleanup to do, so yeah.
All right. And do I need to bring my own iron and cutting mat for the BO8 class?
No, you don't. The BO8 class, we only have a few registered right now. I would hope that some of you would register, but right now it's a small number and we have enough ironing stations to take care of what we need to take care of. So that's that. Anything else? No? Okay. All right. So I want to show a quilt. Heidi's going to help me show the quilt. We'll talk about the one that's back there. It's quite big, but it's really pretty. Let's see if we can find a... Avalanche. All right, yeah, kind of a big one. Yeah. But it's French General. It's from Marvie Leclerc in Wyoming. And Marvie has been with us before, sends us beautiful quilts. And she sent us a little note that said, just wanted you guys to know that 3 of the quilts that we quilted here at Primitive Gatherings won first place ribbons at the Wyoming State Fair. So she does all the piecing and we do the quilting and she gets blue ribbons. Kind of nice. Kind of nice. All right. This is I think a bountiful feather. I don't know if we can get a look at the back. We tilt back, I think. It's hard with this model backing, but yeah. Yeah, it was a bountiful feather. It really looks nice on the French general fabric. So, all right. Then the other one is behind us.
Would you like me to take that out of here?
We'll just put it down here.
Okay.
The other one behind me is from Diane, and like it's got a Baptist fan on it. I think Luke was talking about using the invisible thread for things like samplers, but this one we have a white because of the whites that are in the blocks. And I think it turned out really pretty, even though, you know, the white is kind of stark on the borders. It's still quite a pretty, it kind of blends into the blocks. So, two pretty quilts to look at for this week. All right. I'll take down my turkey trot. I didn't know it was purple. Otherwise, I would have worn something more appropriate for purple today, but it's cute. And I know the people in the turkey trot wagon. All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about needles and thread because last week we talked about, and the week before, talked about tension. And tension, thread, needles are usually the three biggest problem issues, besides operator error, when we're working with our machines. Had a lady come in this morning with her machine and she said, it just started to buzz the last time I plugged it in and turned it on. And it was like, Luke opened the case that she brought it in and he looked, and her little arm that engages the bobbin winder was engaged, so that when she turned the machine on, it started to go because it was trying to wind a bobbin. And she didn't realize that. This is not the first time that has happened. I know that they make little pieces of plastic type stuff that you can put over your bobbin area and over your knob area on the machines. We don't have them here. I'm sure if you look out on the internet, you can find them. And that saves you from having that issue happen to you, where you get to a retreat and all of a sudden you think there's something wrong with your machine, and it is simply your bobbin winders turned on. Happens to me too. That's how I know. All right. So operator error sometimes is involved with problems with your machine. And we try really hard to help people understand their machines better so that the operator error part of it is a small part of the equation of thread needle tension. So education is a big deal around here, and we take your suggestions seriously, but there's only so many hours in the day. All right. So that's why we're doing some of these quickie things here. So I wanted to start with your owner's manual. Your owner's manual has pages and pages of stuff about needles and about thread. This one shows the difference between what a needle that's too big for your thread, a needle that's too small for your thread, needle that's just right, like mama, papa, baby bear. If you have a needle that's too small for your thread, you're going to shred it. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be hard to sew. If you have a needle that is too large for your thread, you will often have tension problems. It'll loop. So that's why it's really important to match your thread size and your needle size. I have a couple of examples down here on the table. Kelly can come in and take a look at these. All right. We have thread, we have needles. All right. What I did is I took all of my 90-14 needles and I got one out of each of the packages. And there are a lot of subtle differences between these needles. Like I have a gold needle here that is for embroidery. I have a darker needle over here that's called a super universal, and it's Teflon coated. There are needles for jeans that have a different hole in them. There's metallic needles that also have different size holes. The top stitch needle, which I use a lot because it has a nice large hole and it's easy to thread. Because sometimes, like especially if you're doing something with embroidery thread or something that frays a bit, it's a lot easier to use the top stitch needle. We have a microtex needle, nice sharp point. A lot of people use that for batiks. Over here, I have a 70-11 needle and a 90-14 needle. So you can see that the shaft is different. The length is the same, but it's thicker. The hole in the needle will be smaller for the 75-11 than for the 90-14. So there's a lot of variety of different kinds of needles. There's a needle for like every possible application. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Jeans, there's leather needles that have a thicker shaft and are more substantial for going through that leather, have a nice sharp point. There's ballpoint needles. Kaylee just went by the twin needles. A lot of those are used for decorative purposes. And you thread your machine the same way you always do, but one thread goes through one needle, one thread goes through the other needle. A lot of times I recommend this needle if you don't have a serger or a cover stitch machine and you want to cut off a t-shirt. This needle will help provide that stretchy stitch that you might need for a t-shirt hem. So there's a lot of different needles. There are several small pamphlets available to tell you more about needles. They're color coded now, so that you can tell by the color code on them what size they are, what shaft they are, what type they are. So, brief introduction to needles. There are a lot of them. There's a lot of different applications. Learn to know your needles. It will help you sew more easily. You won't have skipped stitches, won't have a lot of looping. So it's a good thing to get to know your needles. All right. Needles. Threads. All right, we have a variety of red thread here. All right, anywhere from the 100 silk to the 12 weight cotton. So we have silk, 100 weight. All right, here's something that may be confusing to people. This is very thin. This is 100 weight. My 100 needle, however, is very much for larger threads. So it's kind of opposite. If I have 100 thread, 100 weight thread, I'm going to use that 7511 or 7010 needle because I don't want this rattling around in a 9014 needle because I'll get bad stitching, looping, bad tension. All right. This is a 12 weight. So it's a heavier cotton thread used a lot for decorative threads. So that I would use the 9014 or 100 weight needle. All right. The next two over are both 50 weight and they look different. One is cotton. Well, they're both cotton, but they're processed differently. So they have different lengths of cotton fiber. So one is like fluffier, the other is tighter, but they're both 50 weight threads. And over on this side, I have two 40 weight threads. 40 weight, usually used for embroidery. The 50 weights are usually used for piecing. 60 weight sometimes for piecing, 60 weight sometimes for applique. I've been using the 100 weight for hand applique, but you get down to the 40 weights, those are the more decorative threads so that they can fill in the embroidery. The 50 weights look like they may be thicker in some instances, but they don't act thicker when you're using them for embroidery. So there's a whole variety of different kinds of threads for different kinds of purposes. So that is a brief introduction to threads and needles.
Can you use a Valdani Pearl Cotton in the machines, in all machines? And then what needle would you use with those?
Okay, for the Valdani, which is a 12 weight, like this one, I use the 100 weight, the 116, I think it is, universal, super universal, because I like that Teflon coating. It seems to help go through the wool, and especially if you have any fusible web in there, the super universals will, with their Teflon coating, will go through there more easily and won't have the buildup on them that sometimes happens when we use regular needles in applique. Okay, machines. All right, I got my sister's Janome Gem to actually do this. And so if I can get that machine to do it, I think almost any machine that does the blanket stitch can be used for Valdani applique. Okay. Anything else? Nope. Okay. Like I said, we wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet because we have guests over in the gathering today. And Heidi has picked out some lucky winners. All right. All right. Sherry A. Contact Heidi for fun and exciting prize. Michelle McGinnis. Michelle McGinnis, please contact Heidi. And Mima 1961. Obviously, somebody is a grandmother. So Mimod 1961, contact Heidi at uspermanentgatherings.us. So if you have comments and questions, you're free to call us, email us, leave comments here. I do look at the comments like usually Thursday night or something like that. So I know that a lot of people will look at this later in the day or tomorrow. So I would try and keep tabs on questions from the comment area. So with that, if we have nothing else important, ladies, I can say clean and oil your Bernina, and we'll see you next week.